Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Today, we're going to be picking it up where we left off last week in the inaugural draft, taking another look at the players remaining, the players that we have, and then filling our remaining needs. Now, I believe we did exactly 20 rounds last time, so that will be, we're probably going to do about 80 rounds this time, honestly. I want to make sure we fill out our team pretty well and get some good minor league players to top everything off. So our goal is definitely going to be building a team that we believe can sustain success in the long run. We're going to be finishing it out with perfect team as usual of some form. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to look like yet, but we will be doing some perfect team stuff. I have a couple of ideas and we'll kind of figure it out when we get there. But in the meantime, let's hop right into it. So as you may have noticed, I do have new logos for the Magicians. I'm going to work on getting them in. I'll see if you can get them in, and then if I can, I will get them in. All right, anyways, as for our roster, don't need to view defense right now. So, we started off the draft, as you'll remember, with third baseman Matt Piotrowski. Great defense, great on base profile, great base running. This guy is going to be our leadoff hitter for a long time, and absolutely a cornerstone player at third base. Definitely a guy I could not resist taking. Mike Haynes will be our second baseman. He provides good defense and good offense. I like the balanced profile. I think he's a quality player. John Vasquez, who I accidentally drafted, will be our ace pitcher. Ashton Field will be up there in our rotation as well. His lower stamina is really his only weakness. Brian Benson, I believe, will be our first baseman heading into the season. He is young. He is a great hitter. I think the guy has sky-high potential, so we're going to just have to see what ends up happening with him. We got Frank Miller, another quality pitcher in our rotation. Brian Miller, another Miller here. A great on-base profile-focused left fielder or corner outfielder in general. I think he could play right as well if needed. Tony Rivera, yet another quality pitcher in our rotation. I love the movement control combination. He's a guy I think could really succeed in the middle of a rotation. Alfredo Valenzuela, who we actually drafted to be our shortstop coming out of the gate. He has really good hitting for a shortstop and great base running. Fielding's not quite where I'd like it to be, but it won't kill us. Alex Corona, another great on base profile. We've got Mike Graham, a solid starting pitcher. He can work well in the back of a rotation. Alfredo Landeros, another really nice on base profile. And Max Dent, our starting catcher, loved the defense. He's like an Elise Sanchez behind the dish. Solid player. Kentaro Lee, our center fielder, heading into the season. Very versatile player. He could be your utility outfielder rather really well as well. But he's got a decent hitting profile and 75 grade range, which just makes me I absolutely love that high range player. Giovanni Strong was our top prospect draftee. He will play second base for the time being. Good power-based profile. I'm not totally sold on his abilities, but I think he could at the least be a great trade chip. Mark Grenier, another prospect of ours. I'm pretty sure everyone at this bottom bit is just a prospect, so we don't need to focus on them. But what we have, well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starting pitchers, so we're good there. Our rotation is set. We don't need to worry about them. We've got our starting catcher. We've got our starting first baseman in Benson. We've got our starting second baseman. We've got our starting shortstop, our third baseman. Wait, yeah, because Strong is not our second baseman. We have all our outfielders and DH, I think, because Lee's our center fielder. Miller is our right fielder, honestly. That would make Corona or Landeros our left fielder. No, I think Landeros honestly plays right field. Corona DHs, and Miller plays right field or left field. I think that's right. So we have our starting lineup set, actually. All we need now is relief pitching, utility guys, and prospects. So that's going to be our primary focus in this draft, particularly the prospect side of things. But I'm also going to look to get at least a couple decent relievers. That's going to be very difficult to do going forwards, unfortunately, but I'll see what we can make happen here. All right, now back to the inaugural draft. So looking at the players remaining, let's just take a quick look at some general ratings. Well, actually, we can take a look at the highest overalls. So Javi Bermudez, I really like this guy. He's got a really strong changeup, which should boost his abilities past his ratings. He can go into starting rotation too, if absolutely necessary. I like his profile, decent reliever. We've got Billy Forgy, another decent profile reliever. Roger Garcia, I don't like him as much. He's very stuff heavy. And Jeff Hunt, I don't like him either. So let's take a look at some, not batting ratings, batting potential. So as for our highest contact potential, guys, Steve Ellie. Okay, well, he could be a utility infielder, a bat first utility infielder. That certainly is possible. Jorge Barron, another interesting hitter left, but I'm really more worried about the prospects than I am about the veterans. I don't think we need to add too much to our roster at this point, except, of course, the utility guys. So, huh. Ooh, actually, Justin Boutwell is an outstanding utility guy. He's got the range for second, he's got the overall profile for short, and he has the arm for third. So I think this is a guy we're absolutely going to keep our eyes on. So I'll throw him on the short list. All right, who else do we have here? This is kind of an or rather underwhelming list of players. Chad Keenan is genuinely, in my opinion, the best hitter left, and he is a 37-year-old bum. So Mark Barrett, that sounds familiar. Oh yeah, because he's another garbage utility. Yeah, I agree. Dogberry, I think he could be a really interesting player for us. Oh wait, it's Barrett again. See, we're just circling back around to these old veterans, the washed up guys that I don't know. I just don't see any players here that interest me in terms of prospects, so that's disappointing. I'm actually going to sort by starting pitchers here. Okay, so Domingo Pino. This is an interesting prospect. He's only 18 years old. He's got a, what, 5 pitch mix? Yeah, above average movement and control. I like that. The stuff can develop. You know what? He is honestly, in my opinion, probably the best or pitching prospect, maybe prospect all around left. And I accidentally clicked the wrong button. All right, here we are. So what do we have here? All right, let's start drafting relievers. Or maybe there are a handful of decent pitching prospects left. No, that guy's absolute garbage. Don't know how he managed to make it to his potential. Carlos Maya is okay, but I don't think he's worth drafting at this point. I don't see him making it back around to us. Wait a second. Henry Garcia, yeah, he's okay. Scheller's all right. Tomorrow is very questionable. And a relief prospect, lovely. These hitting prospects are not going to last, but Bermudez isn't either, and Hunt, I think, is good. No, he's not. All right, well, we've got to get a closer who's good, so Bermudez has to be the priority. Fortunately, the prospects have lasted. I don't actually love these guys, but I think they could be interesting trade chips. So we're going to start with Scheller, see who lasts. All right, tomorrow's still available, as is Garcia. Let's see if Garcia makes it. Perfect. All right, well, let's look at some pitching ratings, see if we can't grab whoever the least garbage relievers left are. And then we're going to grab our utility guys. All right, Victor Alfaro. Good movement, good control, decent stuff. George or Greg Hodge. If he weren't so old, I'd really consider him. Kevin Johnson, once again, way too old for me. Alfaro's actually really old too now that I look at him. Man, that's disappointing. Pinedo rather, he looks pretty decent. Honestly, at this point, I'm tempted to just go back for Boutwell. I don't see any relievers that are really intriguing me. And while I do want to build a strong bullpen, I don't think that's going to be possible no matter what I do here. So I don't see the reason to splurge on it when I can just go back and pick up mediocre guys later. All right, we're going for Pinetto, and then we're going to get Boutman. All right, so where were we when we found him? I think defensive ratings, right? He's got a 70 grade arm, something like that. I didn't see him. All right, well, let's try to sort here, or maybe you can't sort. Okay. Well, I'll search for him. Player short list. I'll bring him up. Yep, Justin Boutwell's been drafted. That's a shame. That is a shame. He was definitely the best utility guy left. All right, who are our other options? We've got Alfredo Cerda. Eh. Yeah, I've got a better idea. Honestly, default is probably the most efficient way to find these guys. I agree, Dogberry. I think I kind of blew that. I should have drafted him sooner. Kevin Buck. Barres is okay. He's a solid hitter. His defense could be worse. He is old, though, but who isn't at this point? Dempsey literally plays everywhere and has a decent bat. I like that. Steve Ellie, I don't like it, but he is the bat first option. He's the bat first option. When he trains up at third base, he'll be good there. So it's not my favorite choice, but it's something I can live with. Now for outfielders, I absolutely just have to get the best ranged player possible to be my utility man. So Choa's absolutely on the table. Jesus Gallego, absolutely on the table. I think he's the front runner. No, those are the only two guys in 75 range. So it's going to be Jesus Gallegos. I really like him. Next, we're going to get our backup catcher and then fill out our bullpen. And I think I overestimated the number of selections I want to make. I definitely don't think 100 is realistic. I don't think we're going to see meaningful players that far in. I like Chris Blevins a lot. He's young. He's got good ability. His arm isn't too bad. Wait, how old is Blizzard? Blizzard's certainly good too. I think I actually like him even better. All right, it's going to be Blizzard. Tom Blizzard. He'll be our backup catcher this year. All right. Let's take a look at some pitchers now. I don't like the control, but Pedro Pagan at least has really good movement, so I will consider him. I'll also consider the really old guys if we don't start finding some ridiculously... oh, shoot. That is not what I wanted to do. Okay. The problem will be solved. Just give me a second. Okay, well, my iPad is acting up. Let me just try something here. There we go. All right. I like Perez, but he is not my top choice at the moment. Oh, wait, no, it was Phillips I actually wanted to take a look at. Okay. Okay, Phillips is all right. I'm looking for guys who generally have higher movement because home runs, the moment you start losing movement, you see a lot of home runs given up, and that really impacts ERA. You see guys, their ERA just sinks like so quickly when you give up large numbers of homers. I like control primarily because Walks do come first in order of operations, so it's a combination of pitch efficiency and obviously giving up free base runners is not ideal either. And none of the pitchers left are anywhere near decent. I don't think a single player available is going to cut it. So we're going to have to start drafting the older guys and just hope that they can piece stuff together well enough to build us a good season. I think I'm also going to go for Pedro Pagan at some point just because his movement is so high. And probably Matt Humphrey as well. All right, so Hodge is next, then Johnson. And next we're going to get Fino. And, oh man, that really high movement guy got drafted, so I guess he's no longer available. I guess we'll go for Alfaro then. How is Isaiah Collins? He is also really old. Man, I'm not loving the options. I think we almost got to go for Brendan Drake just because there are no alternatives. I guess Andrew Plummer, he's 36, but at least he's got stamina so he can eat innings. I don't like it, but I'm going to go with Jeff Hunt. His stuff should be enough to help offset the lower control a little bit. Oh, wait, here we go. Craig Gray's really high control. That's what I'll do. I'll sort by control. We'll see if we can't find anybody with decent movement and control. All right, Victor Martin or Maureen. He looks good enough. What? Man, the list of people with good control is really short. I think we're going to take Brendan Drake, and I hope that this is enough players to cover our MLB roster. Oh, man, all right. Oh, I was sorting by relievers. There could be starting pitchers who are good enough. Let's do that. Let's sort by starting pitchers. This is even sadder, I think, than the reliever situation was. There's only 5 pages of starting pitchers left in the draft. That's how shallow this pool is, or rather how exploited it's been. I'm going to go with Joaquin Loria in case we need a long reliever. Oh man, I don't even know who I would take if I needed an MLB player at this point. We're going to go back to all players. You know what? Let's look at fielding ratings. Let's identify some potential prospects possibly who could become really good fielders at some point. Because if we can't get any more meaningful major league players, then I definitely want to try to add some prospects. I think Gabriel Infante is genuinely on my list, as is Rodolfo Diaz. All right, as for rangy players, don't really have many. Maybe we should just sort by potential, see if there are any really high-end potential guys left. Omar Obregon, the relief prospect, is the highest potential player left. Not surprised it's a relief prospect. What if we sorted by all batters? Israel Frias, the only mediocre batting prospect left. So we'll take him. Oh. Huh. Okay, well, I guess the draft was only 40 rounds long for the inaugural. I find that very strange. We've got minor leagues, don't we? Huh, we do not have minor leagues. Okay. That changes things. I could have sworn we had minor leagues, but I guess we are not going to have any. Huh. Very strange. Okay. Well, I will definitely need to re-strategize with that in mind. Yeah, yeah, that's really odd. I'm going to, that's not what I wanted. I want to check to make sure that our settings are not screwy. Well, if there aren't minor leagues, that's something we can live with. We can do an interesting all majors type thing. Okay, let's give this relief prospect a minor league contract. All right, let's see what he wants. Okay, so he does like that offer. Hopefully that's enough for him. Okay. League rules and settings. Perfect. Okay. Advanced mode. I don't think there's a way to add minor leagues retroactively like there is in base game. Yeah, I don't see it, so I think we're just gonna have to play without minor leagues. I will edit, uh, I'll edit it to make it so we can actually play, but in the meantime, let's just go over our team. And that puts a lot more emphasis on how we're doing in the immediate point in time, since our prospects are gonna have to kind of fight their way through. Let's take a look at our roster. Or maybe let's take a look at our roster overview. I don't know why it's using Piotrowski at first base, so it could get Steve Ellie into the lineup. Okay, well, that's getting fixed. Piotrowski is our third baseman. So we're going to lineups here. Love that line right through the middle. That's just awesome. Yeah, you love to see it. All right, Ellie is not going to be in our lineup. We will instead have Brian Benson as our first baseman. Okay, yep. Piotrowski will lead off. Alfredo Valenzuela, he's not batting second, I'll tell you that much. Brian Miller, I like him at the top of the lineup. I'm not sure how far up, but I do like him there. Ooh, he's got a salary on him. Only a 1-year contract, too. We might need to look into extending him. All right, Mike Haynes, he's a quality hitter. I think he could probably go above Valenzuela at the least. Alex Corona should be much higher in this lineup. Oh, you know what? I forgot to enable the DH as well. So I will do that really quickly. There we go. All these things I thought were on by default, but they were. Okay. Third base for Piotrowski. Grabbing. Brian Benson's in as our DH, so I assume it was Alfredo Landeros who was really our DH. Yep. Except he's going to be our right fielder. Brian Miller is going to be our left fielder, right? Yep. And Brian Benson is going to be our first baseman. That makes Alex Corona our DH? Yeah, because he has the lowest range. Okay, so we got Piotrowski batting leadoff. Brian Benson batting second. I genuinely think that's good. I'm not entirely sold on it, but we'll at least consider it. Mike Haynes batting third could be worse. Valenzuela, all right. Landeros should be higher in the order. I think we're going to have him actually above Haynes. Brian Miller should also be much higher in the order. Maybe even above Benson. Come on. You can do it. OOTP Go. Okay, we've got Valenzuela. He is still down there. Alex Corona should be much higher as well. Actually, can't really get him much higher, can we? Man, this whole team just rakes. I'm really excited to see how our offense does this season. Kentaro Lee, not sure he should be. I think I'll reverse him and Dent just because he's faster, but... Alright, we're copying the lineup, posting it versus lefties. And I think that's good. I think our... actually, maybe we should check depth charts. Depth charts, okay. So filling in our corner outfield slots. Why is nobody filling in our corner outfield slots? I'd assume Jesus Gallegos does that, right? Yeah. I don't know exactly what the deal is there, but he is definitely filling in those spaces. Doing if starter tired. I hate starting guys every X number of games. Okay. Wait, why is Kentaro Lee backing up the infield? Oh, because he's actually a good infielder. But nonetheless, I believe Giovanni's strong. Why is Giovanni strong on our Major League roster? Transactions. We gotta send him to the reserve roster. Show available transactions. There we go. Send to reserve roster. Perfect. All right. To the transactions page. Let's find our replacement. I don't see a utility guy here. Did we actually not draft a utility infielder? I could have sworn we did. Depth charts. Lee is not backing up the infield. Steve Ellie. Right. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I do find it very strange that they put him into utility too. I don't know why it was putting a prospect in immediately. All right, I think we're all good. So now we actually can call up one of those relievers from not triple A, the reserve roster. And take a look at our rotation. So we got Vasquez. John Vasquez. I might honestly trade him because I'm not a huge fan of him as our starting pitcher one. We've got Tony Rivera, awesome pitcher. Ashton Field, another great talented guy. Frank Miller, another really talented pitcher. And Mike Graham at the bottom, still not bad. It could be that. We'll consider that, but I'm not a huge fan. So as for our bullpen, Javi Bermudez is our closer. I agree with that. Hunt is our setup guy. I don't like it, but I have to agree. We've got a whole bunch of relievers that are just old guys on very short-term contracts. I don't know why we've got 3 middle relievers, or long relievers rather, set. I'm going to set Fino to middle. And I think that's actually fine. What else do we need to go over here? I think that's the big stuff. I think our team is pretty much built. And I accidentally clicked the play button and it crashed OOTP Go. So that means that everything that we just did has been erased because I had not saved yet. All right, so we're going to speed run the inaugural draft again. Player pick. Oh, well, it looks like it's saved somewhere. About round 30, so... Oh, wait, before I say... No, we're taking Jeff Hunt. All right, do we already have that third baseman yet? No, and we still got Bert Fino here, so I've got to get Fino. All right. Actually, I will grab Gold as well. Just trying to get any pitcher I can at this point. Oops, fielding ratings is what I'm concerned with. Infield range. Okay, so we still got Sal Bernal, a legitimate candidate for shortstop. Why not take him? Alfredo Cerda. Yeah, he's another great fielder. Might as well. Let's get... Now Infante will be available as a free undrafted free agent. I almost guarantee it. We already know Bragan's going to be available as an undrafted free agent. I'll get Alfaro. And I think we took Brendan Drake as well. No, we didn't, did we? But I think we're going to do it this time, just for the heck of it. What round is it? 37? All right, let's grab some prospects. Chris Hardwick, he's got some power. Why not? And Nate Lawrence. Eddie Huff. I don't know. I'm not in love with any of the options left. I guess Joe Finn. Joe Finn has some potential to him. I really do not like that Nate Lawrence guy. I just cannot stand that pitching. Hey, Carlos Ovalle is at least interesting as a 17-year-old. You know what? I'm going to save us the 200K and take O'Brien. Nobody here is worth selecting. All right. So I'll just reset the team on my own later. But I do want to re-enable, the DH. Actually, let's take a look at strategy, and I can just briefly discuss why I like to set my strategy where I do and the overall goals. So we do have a really fast team. A lot of guys capable of stealing bases, so I'm actually not going to set the stealing bases strategy that low, along with the base running. And hit and run, I always like a tick higher than stealing bases. So the general overview for these. For stealing bases, that's essentially how often your players attempt to steal. That will be a modifier based on the existing pitcher hold runners and catcher arm. So they're less likely to steal on catchers with higher arm in general, but they will attempt it more when this is turned up. So you'll see more steals, but you'll also see more caught stealing, and your stealing percentage generally drops as you attempt more steals. I generally recommend having low stealing bases in almost any type of category, unless you've got a ridiculously fast team in an environment that doesn't have too many strong arm catchers, because getting caught really does harm your offense, and successfully stealing honestly is not that valuable. Now, with base running, you're much less likely to get caught with aggressive base running, but it's still something that you don't want to set too high because, again, the consequences are big, the rewards are not. And you still get caught at a decent enough rate that it's not worth attempting the extra bag more than you need to. Now, hit and run, basically, your batter is forced to swing at the ball, and all of your runners on base run. It's like when you have a 3-2 count and 2 outs. But it does that just in general for those who are unaware. Hit and runs are going to have a higher stolen base success rate and also will get you the extra bag. So I like to turn it up a little bit more than stealing bases. However, I don't like that it decreases your batter's probability of having a good at bat. So that's a little bit of a trade-off. Now, as for bunting, almost always, and I mean almost always, I've not seen an environment where I would not have sacrificed bunting all the way down, squeeze bunting all the way down, and bunting for hit almost all the way down. And the reason is as follows. Now, sacrifice bunting, you are literally giving away an out to advance a runner a base. Okay? So if you have a runner with a, let's say, 60% success rate stealing, that's really bad. but you have a 60% chance to get that extra base and not have an out. I haven't cranked the numbers, but to me, sacrifice bunting when you have a DH and you're not running a really terrible player, it's just not worth it. You're giving away an out to advance a runner a base. Now, squeeze bunting, circumstantially useful. Runs are valuable. Guaranteeing one is awesome, but it is difficult. Squeeze bunts don't work as much as you'd like. Sacrifice bunts fail time to time, too. That's something you have to consider. And as for bunting for hit, I've seen guys run brief experiments on it, and it doesn't seem to do very much, whether you crank it or not. So I set it low just because I'd rather have my top hitters swing away, but I don't know. Sometimes I set it a little bit less low for guys with really good, bunt for hit rating. Now, as for the pitching side of things, pitch around determines how often your pitcher is going to attempt to not pitch to the batter. Now, that's a modifier on walks and homers. It could have other things as well, but to my knowledge, it's just those two. And you're essentially sacrificing homers for walks if you decide to pitch around. So you're giving up fewer home runs, but you are allowing more walks. And I haven't seen, from what I have heard and seen, it doesn't. The ratio of walks to homers makes it so you almost always want to avoid pitching around. With guys with really high control who are just not going to walk anybody anyways, it makes sense to pitch around because you can then reduce the number of home runs you're allowing without any real consequence. But for most pitchers, you want to limit the pitch around so you don't give up those home runs. Try to get your pitchers focused on movement and your strategies focused on walks. Now, as for attentional walks, once again, it is a free pass. If you haven't seen the videos, and there are a lot of them, about what would happen if Bonds was intentionally walked every at bat, or like what happened if Ruth was intentionally walked every at bat, it actually adds to their value. Now, circumstantially, again, the intentional walk can be useful if you have runners on second and third, no outs, and a ridiculously dangerous hitter at the plate. Okay, then maybe you intentionally walk him, but the AI is still going to do that even if you turn it all the way down. In those circumstances, they'll do it. It's just now you're not intentionally walking guys with like a runner on second and one out, where it doesn't necessarily make as much sense. And as for hold runners, I like to turn this one down as well. I used to like to have it up, but it does appear to eat at your pitcher's stamina slightly to hold a runner. And again, stolen base is just not that valuable. So if you happen to allow more than you normally would, and if you're missing out on those so disgusting pickoffs every now and then, so what? You're keeping your pitchers in the game for 5 pitches longer or something like that, and that is valuable. Now, as for playing the infield in, again, I don't like to have this too high. I'm still not turning it all the way down, though. And the reason is that there are more circumstances where this is useful. If you're in a close game, you want to prevent every run you can. If you have like a runner on third base and no outs or one out, it makes sense to have the infield in. You have a chance to prevent the run, and what's the worst that's going to happen? You give up a single, and now there's a runner on first with a run scored. Well, it's not too much worse than the position you were previously in, and the odds that that happens isn't that much. But now if there's a ground ball in the infield, the runner's not going to score. As for playing corners in, so what if they sacrifice bunt? They want to give me a free out? Sure, I'll take it. So I turn that all the way down as well. Guarding lines, I turn that all the way down. That is essentially the anti-gap power. And you know what I say to gap power? It sucks. Do not guard lines. Now, as for shifting, I definitely recommend turning your infield shifts up. Batters have a slight tendency to pull the ball. You're more likely to see pull profiles in modern games. So that's one of those things where you're essentially just getting free outs by shifting more often on guys who have a pull tendency. But as for outfield shifts, now I read somewhere that outfield, or when you have the ball in play in the air, it is slightly more likely to be hit to the opposite side than infield. or than ground balls. So I'm not entirely sure, but I'm still at a point where I'm willing to turn outfield shifts up to 3. I'm not totally sold on it at this point, but I do like having it higher for now. Ah, yes. Dogberry, the reason is that was popular. People loved to turn up the hold runners, but then we discovered that it actually does eat away at stamina, and a lot of us are turning away from that. I thought there was no consequence to holding the runner other than the occasional like pass ball or whatever. So that's my reasoning for that. I also like to have my outfield shifts on for the depth. That's another thing where you're essentially just taking away outs, preventing those balls in play from turning into hits. Uh, I'm not entirely sure how power correlates to how deep the balls hit, but from what I've seen, it looks like it at least kind of does. So shifting outfield depth, if that helps, great. If not, well, I need to do some studies on this stuff and figure it out. And as for substitution strategy, I like to hook my starting pitchers slow. You want them in there as long as possible. If they're getting shelled, well, that doesn't mean they're going to continue to get shelled going forwards. It's their ratings against the batter's ratings with stamina taken into account. You want to have them in there until their stamina is low enough it's not worth having them in there. And you'll have pitch counts for that, plus an aggressive tiredness hook. And yeah, no problem, Dogberry. So I like to have this 2 to 3 down here. But I like to hook my relievers a little bit more quickly. If I've got a lineup that is built to pound a reliever, or I have a matchup that's not great for them, I want to get them out of there because I've got a lot of relievers. And unlike with starting pitchers, I can just send that reliever out there the next day, and the less that they pitch, the less their stamina is eaten into. So there is an incentive to get your relievers out there a little faster. Now, as for pitching matchups, you definitely want to prefer the splits as heavily as you possibly can. There are a lot of splitty guys out there, especially lefties, and making sure you get those matchups is a better way to optimize your bullpen and make sure you're getting better usage out of all your guys. As for batting matchups, I actually don't really care. I want to set this as low as possible. I don't like using pinch hitters, and if I do use them, okay, yes, I would like there to be splits, but it's not my top priority there. I'm worried about what's happening for the rest of the game. One at bat is usually not going to make the difference. Now, as for pinch hitting, let's turn it all the way down. Oops. I do not like to pinch hit ever. Your best guys are the guys in your lineup. While there will be circumstantially times where you want to pinch hit, it does not help you in the long run in the game. I also don't like pinch running. So those are all the way down. And for special, this is just openers. I'm not really going to go into that much today. That's very complicated stuff. Okay, well, as for the team we've got here, I think we do have quite a bit of speed. I know our leadoff guy has speed, our shortstop's got speed. Our catcher's got speed. Yeah, look at that. 65 stealing, 70 base running. Our center fielder has a little, so we might be able to steal some bags here. I think our biggest defense is or our biggest strength is going to be our hitting ability. We have a lot of guys capable of getting on base, generating runs. I'm not entirely sure if they can necessarily do great on defense. I don't know how that bullpen is going to hold up, but I think our rotation is strong and our lineup is strong, so we shouldn't do too bad. Now, I think that's going to be it for the Magicians today. I've got a lot of stuff to figure out about this team. I think in the absolute worst case scenario, we're going to just have to mess around with the modifiers so that when we get new players, they're MLB ready. But otherwise, I will be looking to possibly make some trades or set some trades up. I'll do them on stream next time. All right, anyways, we're going to hop into Perfect Team now. So I will just log in with my super secret username. Oops. There we go. Oh, maybe I typed it. Oh, yeah, there's a space at the end of Sergeant Mushroom 39. That's the secret part about the username. Oh, maybe I mistyped my password too, so there we go. Yeah, it would be great if I could type. Okay, well, we've got 50 packs to rip. That's how we are going to start the day off here. And we're going to run into some tournaments. Now, I'm going to start pulling tournament data this week and hopefully getting some base level projections to you guys. I don't want to go too in-depth into it yet. I'm working on a bit of a bigger project at the moment, but I do hope to get some of that stuff going. Now, as for Franchise Heroes 2, I'm not close on most of the teams, and it really pains me. I've got to build up my capital. I've got to make sure I'm increasing my perfect points totals throughout the season and investing. That's really what I'm going to be doing going forwards. I'm not worried about improving my team at the moment. I'm also running a lot of tournaments. You'll notice I do have 50 packs. I didn't buy any of them. These are all won through tournaments. A couple of them from missions, and a couple of them from drops. All right, let's get ripping. And hopefully we'll start it off with a good pack, but my pack luck this year has just not been the best. Oh, what do you know? I love Ian Kidzler. He's a great defensive second baseman. No idea what missions he's in, but I'll take a look at him at his current price. Oh, that's awesome. What a way to start it off. Ian Kidzler, historic perfect. For the record, the only other historic perfect I've pulled ever in this game right now is Ernie Lombardi. So that was a big upgrade from Ernie Lombardi. JD Davis, a nice live gold there in the second pack. He pays for the pack. Can't complain about that. That's an interesting pack. A couple historic bronzes and Sean Newcomb, a live silver. All right, give me something good here. Craig Kimbrell, a part of the trade deadline mission and therefore a valuable live gold. Brett Cecile, a historic gold. Man, I'm on fire right now. Lots of really solid packs. And I just had to say it, didn't I? That one wasn't so exciting. Josh Naylor's a nice player, but doesn't quite cut it for me in most formats anymore. Danny Hawking, is that card any good? I'm quite curious about that. Couple of live bronzes. Cedric Mullins won't be a bronze much longer, that's for sure. He's going up. Having an outstanding year in Baltimore. Definitely a glimmering light, along with Adley Rutschman getting promoted. Spencer Torkelson and Adley Rutschman are both in AAA now, for those who did not know. Definitely exciting prospects to watch. Dan Greiner, always love to see a historic silver. Yeah, I definitely recommend keeping an eye on those top prospects. Very exciting talent there in the minors. Terrible pack. Terrible pack. Oh man, maybe Jonathan Davis or Matt Bush makes bronze, and this pack is a little bit less terrible than it is right now. But I'm not putting my eggs in that basket. Oh yeah, Jared Kelenic, awesome. The packs are really running hot tonight. Max Fried also in this pack, a nice live gold there. And another not so great pack. Kyle Crick, the obligatory bronze. Robert Stevenson going down steadily.